And there we go. Two. Hopefully you can hear me. That was a mute. Let me just double check we've got the light. Oh, what the hell? I'm going into settings I don't want to know. Let me just check. Is it down here? Oh, okay, it's that. Blimey, if it's been, you don't have access to this feature. Why have I not? Hello? Well, hi, Glenn. Yep, I can read. I don't need my eyes. Well, I do need my eyes tested, but that's another story. Hi, Glenn. Yeah, I'm good. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Yeah, I'm live. Obviously, my internet on the boat isn't the same as what it used to be when I was doing it from Heather's. Oh, great! That's fantastic. Yeah, so normally I'll go and check the audio on my phone, but it's the phone that's hotspotted and it's up in the it's up in the other cabin. So yeah, I can't really check it easily. Yeah, excellent. That's good to know. I hope you all. Yeah, thanks for the like. Anyone else that comes in, yeah, give us a like, share it on the panels. Hey Sam, good to have you with me. Yeah, this I like gloves. Hello Sam, gloves. Yeah, as a biker, I can't beat gloves. My channel is about gloves as well. Oh, sweet. Do you have disposable gloves, plastic gloves, rubber gloves, cleaning gloves, surgical gloves? I probably have some disposable gloves in my lockup for motorcycle maintenance purposes. I should wear them really because I keep forgetting. And I have motorcycle gloves of different descriptions, so I hope that helps. I've got summer gloves, I've got winter gloves, racing gloves. Not that I ever go racing because the one sports bike I've got is proving to be a pain in the backside. Anyway, that's enough of that. But if you do want to ask about bike stuff, then feel free. I like to stay and watch the live stream if people were just. Well, that's nice. On both hands, just for me while you're live streaming. Okay, well, yeah, I'm not really going to do that because, as I said, the gloves I've got I don't wear unless I'm on the bike or at the lockup. So, anyway, yeah, so it's been a little while. It's just been over just a month, I think, since I did the last one. I think I was going to do it last week, and then stuff got in the way, so doing it this week. But then saying that this week makes a bit more sense because the Retinant content that I've started on again, that dropped last night. So anyone that's watched it obviously wants to have a chat with me about the stuff I posted last night. By all means, ask away. There's going to be more bits coming. I'm just working on my next bit at the moment. Once that one I've just done, the full, that took some time because of the different sites and using the different cameras and everything. But once I got my head around the format in the way that I've done it, the next couple of bits should be a lot easier. Yeah, they should be a lot easier, and they will kind of be less involved because I ain't got to do as much travelling. Actually, the next one will be predominantly be down the old A130 and around Workhouse Lane and all that. So that's the So, but as I say, I'm working on it at the moment. I think I've just got all the statements compiled and in chronological order. So yeah, just a case of having the couple of hours to get out and do the recordings and all the rest of it. But hopefully, I can start that this week and we can get the content out as soon as possible. The biggest trouble that I've discovered is this PC, which I've had about 10 years. I've done some upgrades to it, put a new video card in, extra memory, but the main hard drive is like 250 gig. It's tiny, and it's, even though I don't have a lot of stuff on here, the main hard drive has been used up quite a bit. So yeah, I think because editing is very memory intensive, it does use the hard drive as well as the PC's own memory. So hence why I struggled a bit. And you might have noticed there was a couple of bits in last night's content that I thought I'd sort of edited, and when I watched through, it turned out the bits that I thought I'd cut out weren't. They were still in there, and there was a bit that was cut out which wasn't supposed to be. So yeah, that's where we are. But anyway, I digress. So maybe later on this year I might upgrade this machine. We'll see how we go. But yeah, yeah, everything's going pretty much tickety-boo. It was nice to actually get my drone out and do a lot of the footage that I did do. It's great to see that still working. And yeah, so yeah, as I say, any questions or anything you want to chat about, far away. I do have some cards out with me today. I've got my oracles. I don't read. I've read from these a couple of times. They're pretty good. And I've also got my pendulum divination kit. So any questions that can be asked, I can use that. I've used that once or twice. That's been pretty good as well. Just give me a minute. I'm going to grab a quick glass of water, and I will be back in a minute. There we go. Right, sorted. Oh, hello. Right, I've gained about 4 viewers since I nipped to get me drink. But anyway, bottoms up, everybody. This is non-alcoholic. It's just a bit of barley water. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's weird, but I've done this for a little while. I can't think what to chat about. Stuff in my personal life at the moment is sort of ticking over okay. My boy got engaged last week, so they've got a wedding date which is in about 5 months. So it's going to be all systems go from this week, getting measured up for suits and things like that. So that's going to be fun. Not only that, but like my dad turned 80 back at the end of March. So he lives in Spain. I've been out of Spain. That's been, that's been my first trip out of Spain since before COVID. So, oh, hello. I've dropped about 8 viewers. Interesting. Oh, I've still got signal, haven't I? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so yeah, I've been out to see my dad end of March. He turned 80, and it's nice to get out once again. Hopefully, I'll try and keep that up again, because I say I haven't been out since before COVID. Going through the gates now that we're not in the EU was interesting. Yeah, it took about 10 minutes more than what it did do prior, because you've got to do, as I've not been for a while, you got to do these fingerprint scan things, and you only got to do them the once, because I do this biometric crap now. So yeah, apart from that, but yeah, it was nice to get out of Spain. Same boys getting married. My daughter at the moment, she's just got a theory test. She's finally passed the theory test, so now it's trying to book up a main driving test. And that's proving quite hard at the minute, because there's a massive backlog of driving tests, which wasn't really a thing when I was when I did my test 34 years ago. Yeah, 34 years ago now. And even my motorcycle test was fun. There was a waiting list for that, and that was only 16 years ago. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, yeah, some good positive personal stuff going on. Otherwise, start ticking over. I've got work to do on the boat as ever. I'm trying to get the starboard engine fired up because it hasn't been run for, well, Gordon Bennett, about 8 months, I think. I need to get that running up again. I'm going to try and get work done on this boat to get her seaworthy. But along with everything else, it takes time. Vehicle-wise, as you guys probably know, I had 2 Saabs. They're gone. I've had to downgrade to a Vauxhall Zephyr at the moment. It's doing its job. It's getting me out. It's got good load space. It's reasonable to, running costs are pretty good. Certainly cheaper than the Saabs were. I'll give it that. And as regarding the bikes, all 3, Honda's just been Honda. It's doing fine. The Yamaha that I've been doing on the other channel on Adam's Autos, it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back again. Got it MOT, and then I was like, right, let's get it ready to get the carbs tuned up, and then it cut out, and it turns out I've got a fuel relay pump problem, so I'm trying to sort that out now. And as for the Thunderbird, I'm trying to sort out a new engine for it, so all good fun there. Otherwise, not much else to write home about, really. DJing, still DJing. I've still got my pubs in Brentwood and Putney. They're going all right. Obviously, time's a bit hard at the moment with running, fuel costs and, and the government screwing their hospitality industry as they do. It's been a bit touchy, but thankfully, praise God, I'm still working. So that's all right. And so my daytime job, obviously, being a driver, fuel costs are hitting us. But yeah, you can only do what you do. So yeah, I mean, what's going on with this channel, really? Hopefully now I've got the Essex Boys content started again. With the first one dropping last night, I'm working on the next one. What I'm envisaging doing, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do 4 bits. It's looking like I'm going to do 4 bits of content based on the statements that are available. I've got a couple more timelines to do, and I want to find out as much information about Darren Nichols as I can. Obviously, that's the hardest bit because Darren had his, he went into witness protection and and he was wiped off. So, but I want to try and find any available piece of information about Darren Nichols and try and look into the kind of person that he was. We know 1 or 2 things off the bat about him, that he was a bit of a he liked to BS a bit, and other things as well. So I want to try and delve into Darren Nichols and see what kind of character he was, and anything that could show that he was more closely involved in the events than what he tried to distance himself from, and what 1 or 2 other people who are synonymous with the Essex Boys stuff have been, have tried to put out there about him. So yeah, I want to do kind of I suppose, a psychological profile. I'm not really qualified in that area, but I want to look at everything that I can around Darren as a character, and look at the potential involvement that he had. And as I said, do you have any DJ sets I can listen to anywhere? I think I'm not sure if it's on this channel or Adam's Autos. Before I went in a particular direction with both channels, there's random bits and pieces on both, and I think I've got some early ones when I was doing a party in Eastwood, and I was doing an old school housey set. So yeah, I'll try and I'll have a look into doing another one. Obviously, I won't get monetized through it because you know, copyright and everything. But I'll try and do a new one because I do, as a DJ, I cover a lot of bases from. I mean, the old school house scene of the 90s is my era, really. I don't get much of a chance to work on that these days, but I do the odd thing where it's, you know, we do a speciality night, and we've got one coming up in June at Sunrooms in Southend. I think it's called Everyone Loves the Sunshine, where there'll be a group of us all doing sets. I've not quite worked out what I'm going to do at the moment. The other, I mean, in particular, dance music scene, not like, as I said, the 90s stuff, that's me all day. I love trance. I think it's just trance is amazing, and I'm into the tribal music, the tribal house scene, which kind of had its moment about 25 years ago, and I've got a fair bit of trance, so I'm going to a fair bit of tribal. So yeah, I'll look into that, Glenn. I'll see if I can put together a brand new set and put it up on here or on the other channel or something. Actually, I'll probably put it on here. Just got to work out the copyright and stuff. That's all. But yeah, because obviously I ain't going to get monetized for it. But yeah, I'll see what I can do. The biggest issue I've got is no problem. Is moving on to the boat. Space is a big issue, as you can see. You know, you can't see. Well, oh, there you go. So, right, this hand here, there's about another foot in front of me, and then I hit the next wall. This is like my workspace, so I'm in a quite a confined area. But I'll yeah, as I say, I could probably fit my Gemini GMX 300 on here and possibly do something. Leave it with me, Glenn. Yeah, because it'd be nice for me to dabble. Because at the moment, although that's my thing, I cover a lot of bases. I can do generic stuff, you know, covering all bases. I love a bit of cheesy. I'm pretty good at that. And the main work that I do right now, and I have done pretty much over the past 8, 9 years, 10 years, I'd say. A lot of my work's been karaoke, and both the nights that I do right now, Brentwood and Putney, are both karaoke, but they're really good. They're very lively, good fun, and I sing a lot myself. So yeah, it's just been a mad industry, really. I've been doing it for 20. This year, September this year, 20 years I've been in that, and it's weird because when I bounced around a lot since I left school, doing different kinds of jobs, but it wasn't until I landed in the leisure industry back in '98 that I kind of found my feet a little bit, and it was quite bumpy, I'd say, from '98 to 2006, and then I started the DJ. Can you mix on vinyl? I have done it. I didn't start on vinyl. I started on CD, so I'm used to, you know, CDJs and Denons. A friend of mine years and years ago had decks, and I did have a little play, and I really liked it. I just love, I love with vinyl that it's very, you know, vinyl's completely tactile, you know, and everything you do, you know, to the turntable, the vinyl, the needle, you know, it's so it's 100% tactile with vinyl. But unfortunately, I didn't. No, you can't. The vinyl sound has just got this rich. There's like a kind of a rich sound to vinyl. It's lovely. Unfortunately, as I say, the confined space of a boat, I can't have a pair of 1210s. Much I'd like to. Hello, Rob. Do you remember the shirt? Oh, okay. Right, I'll probably see another comment in a minute, but no, yeah, as I say, I have not got the room for a set of 1210s, even though what you can do, and something else that's, you know, has been tech for again around over 20 years. There was a thing that started back in the mid noughties called Scratch DJ. There might have been other versions, but I remember that. I think Scott Angry Anderson. They come in and done one or two bits at Mayhem, well, works from 2005 2006, and I remember him coming in with time code discs, and he had a bit of jiggery pokery with some audio wires and everything, and he had one wire going to your laptop, and then you got your turntables going into this box, and then you put the time code discs. Yeah, yeah. Glenn, you would have had the same thing. I mean, even when I wasn't on a boat previously, I was in a similar situation to yourself. Do you remember the short Turkish fella on the door at Mr. B's? Oh, vaguely. I know. I remember getting chucked out by a short fella. I didn't think he was Turkish, but I think the guy you're on about, I think he'd done a few doors. But yeah, Mr. B's, I mean, I was getting in there at 16, so that was around sort of 1991 time. How I got in there at 16, I don't know, because I had such a baby face. But they let me in, and yeah, I remember getting chucked out of there. It was quite a den for, like, you know, drugs, you know, the ecstasies and all that. I remember I'd been in there about 5-10 minutes on my first night, and some bird come up to me and asked, you know, asked if I wanted to buy a bottle, and I'm like, no, I'm all right, I'll just stick to my beer. And later on, yeah, this short guy pulled me out of the club and, you know, had me upstairs. He actually had me around the throat. He scared the shit out of me. As I say, as a 16-year-old kid, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't even report the guy because I'm not supposed to be in there myself. But the rain started. So yeah, well, I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, he let go of my throat, and he's like, you know, went down my pockets, and I had my week's wages in there for me. I was doing 2 jobs at the time. His name was Ice. Yeah, no, it wasn't Ice. I know Ice. He because he'd done, yeah, as I say, he'd done other doors, which I knew him from them, but it wasn't. I don't think it was Mr. B's. No, the guy that chucked me out, he was definitely English. Ice, I think he did Tots as well, and Seymour's, Dick Devines. But yeah, we all know him. It was all right. As I say, I don't think it was him, because I say the guy that chucked me out, he was English, but he was short. But yeah, I'll never forget that, because when he went for my pockets and pulled me blooming money out, I had a good night with him, and I was like, no, that's my bloody wages. Oh, he was the owner. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know too much back then. As I say, I was just 16. I just knew a few people that went in there, and I thought I'll give it a go. Music was banging though. But yeah, Ice is well, you know, he was a well-known guy. Not someone you want to upset. I know that much. Yeah, after that, I think I didn't start going clubbing again until I was 18. Because I say, oh no, I used to. The only other place I could get into was 06 up at Aviation Way. Used to get in there quite a bit. Yeah, I'll give that. Yeah, I'll look into that, Glenn. I know there's other channels that do that. Yeah, I'll look and see how they do it. But it's funny because, like, the other sets that I've seen on YouTube, they're always in exotic settings, you know, somewhere out in Malibu or whatever. And hello, Rick. Yes, yeah, it's nice to get me the bit between the teeth again about it. Yeah, so I'll just quickly get back to Glenn. Yeah, as I say, it's one thing to see scantily clad people bopping around in Malibu, and you know, yeah, it's a small world. And anyone on the, I'll tell you another thing in a minute, but the club scene is quite a small world. But as I say, doing a DJ set on a boat on Benfleet Creek is a world away from out in Malibu. But anyway, yeah, I'll have a look and see how the other guys do it. I'll put something together. Yeah, Rob, yeah, not about knowing ice. Yeah, as I say, the club circuit is quite a, you know, everyone kind of knows everyone, and it was funny. Well, it wasn't really. About 2-3 weeks ago, beats on the boat. I like that. Maybe I can, because I've got another channel which is Boat Noob, which I haven't. I need to get my thought process around getting that channel going about my experiences with boats, because you know this has been a relatively recent thing. You know, last sort of 3 years, I'd say. Obviously, last 18 months I've been living on a boat, but I bought my first one about sort of year and a half before that. It was only like an 8-footer, so it was a good start. But yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea, and I'm sure there's ways of doing live when you have, because how YouTube works around going live is well, you can go live from a mobile phone once you got over 1,000. Once you hit the threshold for monetization, effectively, you can go live mobile, but I think you can go live from static like this with any with any subscribers. But I'll keep you abreast on that, and it won't be a bad thing. Beats on the boat, quite like that. You updated content on the feed. Do you give a shout out to my is that Dan? Is he ex-service? Did because I know Dan that done the doors at the Veens. I know him quite well. Well, I haven't seen him for a long time, but I do know him. Because he passes, well, apart from doing the doors, but he passed his bite test. Blimey, that must have been before COVID now. But yeah, so I went off on a piece there. Yeah, I had a phone call a few weeks ago from a guy called Mick Kelly. He was I think he was head door for my first clubs. This is before I went to DJing. When I started in the nightclub industry back in '98, I was responsible for stock control. So that was basically Salomon. So I was responsible for ordering all the drinks in, you know, doing the stock, you know, make sure we got enough stock to cover what we sold. So theoretically, I can run a piss up in a brewery. And I used to do, I used to look after the stock at night as well, change barrels. And I mean, back in the late 90s, I mean, the clubs that worked from Basildon, we were like 3 deep at the bar all night. It was just manic. It was crazy times. And yeah, as I say, so I was running around doing, changing barrels, and if the bars ran out of stock, they rarely did because of the way that I stocked them. I would work out for each bar how much of each product they would go through, and stock the bar and the roll tops accordingly, so they didn't run out through the night. Kind of did myself out of a job a little bit, but yeah, there was a guy called Mick Kelly. He was on the door. He was head doorman for Icon Dave and that. And an Irish fella. He was a really nice guy, but it's funny because if you would pick on if you fancied your chances against a doorman, Mick wouldn't be one of them. He was a really tough fella, but he was lovely. And I had not seen or spoke to him since 2000. And then a few weeks ago, he phoned me up because there was a mutual friend of ours who had passed away quite suddenly. He's only like, he's my age, maybe a year or two older. Passed of heart attack, but he was heavily into bodybuilding and, worked out it was, because he used to do steroids and that was what it's down to. But it was just mad that I'd not spoken to him for 25 years ago. And out of the blue, Mick's phoned me up and, wanted to find out what I knew about this, what happened to Ian. It was for another friend that I managed to find out what had happened. But yeah, as I say, it's a funny it's a funny circuit because everyone kind of knows everyone, good or bad. Hopefully with me there's nothing bad, not these days anyway. But hopefully I've built myself a good reputation as a DJ host, singer, and all the rest of it. Well, I wouldn't be in work if I wasn't. So, but yeah, but yeah, Rob, if you let me know about Dan, if that's the same guy, he was ex-forces. Yeah, he was ex-service, and he's became a fully fledged biker about 10, I'd say, within the last 10 years. But he's a nice guy. I'd say he's probably in his 30s now, maybe 40. I'm going to have a quick nose on my Facebook. Hang on. I won't say surname, but no. I might not be on there. I've got Daniel. No, not that Danny. Blimey, he's married. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yes, it's good to it's good to keep in contact. Yeah, thanks, Rob. As I said in the video, it's hard work. As with anything, like DJing and singing, music, people only see the end product. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes. Do you have a direct contact? Yeah, you can email. If you go on like the main page of my channel, it will give you my email. So you can drop a message in there, and I can give you a contact number or something, if that's any good. So yeah, just go up your main page and you'll see my email. You have to click on the review or something, and then it comes up. So yeah, I missed any messages, have I? Maybe go. Yeah, you done that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What's the ordered? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's just an interesting life of the club. I think I did actually talk about Icon and Jacks at length. Icon Diva jumping Jacks and Bonds at length during that drive up to Thurrock. Now, one other thing I didn't really talk about it, because it kind of links the two, my time in clubs and so on, and with the Essex Boys, because obviously they were synonymous with Raquel's, which incidentally I never went to, because a lot of the reason was because it didn't have a good reputation, and me and my mates erred on the side of caution, like we don't really want to be end up in some shit by accident, you know. So we never went to Raquel's. But Hollywood's in Romford, that was a great place. I mean, that closed down early 2000s, which was a crying shame because it was one of my favourite clubs. Hollywood Southend. There used to be Hollywood Southend, Hollywood's Romford, and Hollywood's Southend became Club Art. Did you ever go Dungeons, Lee Bridge Road? No. It doesn't ring a bell. The main places I went clubbing was Southend, which was Tots, or Tots 2000. Hollywood's Hollywood Southend, which became Club Art and then turned into Storm, and during its last times became Mansion. So those were the main places in Southend we go to. And then outside of Southend, we go to Hollywood's Romford quite regularly. That was my first encounter with Danny Rampling. And it's funny how things set the rules in motion, but Danny Rampling's sets were just amazing. And later on, Danny became my influence for me to start DJing. And then I did meet Danny about 15, 16 years ago. He came to do a set at Tots or Talk. It was a shame. There was hardly anyone there. And I'm like, you know, so I'm a bit old school thinking, God, this place should be full up. Danny's doing it because he's the nuts. But I got talking to his manager, a friend of theirs. They were just so nice. And when Danny came off of his set, one of the few moments I got of my life, I've been tongue-tied, you know, because there's like the guy that's responsible for starting me off, really. And later on, well, particularly last sort of 5, 6 years, following Danny on Facebook and I think on Twitter as well, I was delighted to find out that he's very awake, in that if I suggested a certain medical intervention, I never took it. Danny didn't. He was an activist against that, like myself and a few others. So it was great to see that as well. But yeah, Hollywood's Romford was great. And outside of that, up in Chelmsford, you had Duke's, Zeus, went up there occasionally. So, but that was it. Yeah, didn't really go anywhere else. I think Harlow. I have worked in Harlow. I've done a pub there a few times. It's like where the town's. I'm trying to remember now because this was probably about 15 years ago, around that time. But you got like a town square kind of thing in Harlow. My memory's quite vague on this, but there's a corner there and there's a pub which is like on the corner, and I've DJ'd in there a few times, but I think that's about me lot with Harlow. That one about clock. That's it. Yeah, Clock House. Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, that does sound very familiar. Yeah, I've done a few bits in there. I don't even know if it's still open, to be honest. To say that was a long time ago. But I'm on yeah, the pub on the corner. That's it. Yeah, that does ring a bell. Clock House. Yeah, worked in there a few times. But say I'm on a circuit with a few DJs. Well, quite a lot of DJs, and we've got an agent who used to DJ at Seymour's, which became Devines. But he's been an agent for about roughly 50 DJs. So it was generally that place. I'm trying to remember. I think they may have had a resident DJ, and sometimes if he get pulled away for other things, then like myself would go in and cover it. But yeah, it was all right. I still remember that being all right, that place. I can't remember having any trouble in there, because some places are better than others. But yeah, aside from that, I'm trying to think. I did when I first started I worked down at a nightclub in Dover called New Age, and that was a complete and utter shithole. To be honest, if you went in there for one night and come out without getting electrocuted, you had a good night. And I remember it was my first. I think I did my first New Year's Eve in there, and the system went down, and it just go on Bennett. But the upside is I did meet I did get together with one of the bar staff in there, and I did get engaged to her. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and I'll come back to Essex. But these things happen, so it wasn't all bad. And I did go to a club in Canterbury a few times. Oh, actually, Baker's Bar. That was another one. Yeah, the club. The club in Canterbury. I can't remember the name, but it was on a couple of floors. And I think they had a situation with a meningitis, I think, situation last month, if it's the same place that I'm thinking of. But went in there a few times. I mean, I'm going back. That would have been around 2007, about 18, 19 years, I'd say. Then, I was just thinking of Baker's Bar as well. That was good. That was in Southend. That was on 3 floors. I can't remember if it's always called Baker's Bar, but that's what I remember it as. That was down Alexandra Street, opposite what used to be, it wasn't quite opposite, but it was sort of, you had the Cannon Cinema, and then you had Abbey National, what became Santander, and Baker's Bar was sort of in the middle, in the opposite side. But I think that was on 3 floors. And I remember going in there a couple of times, and you had different music on, because it was on 3 floors. You had different DJs, and so you'd have downstairs might be quite urban, and then you might have a dance, and then whatever else is going on at the top. But yeah, I mean, the sad thing is now most of those clubs have gone. I think the only I worked at the clubs, the other clubs that I worked at before I switched to DJ, and decided what was Icon and Diva in Basildon. I worked at Talk for a year. I worked at Storm for a year. I then went across to Mayhem, which was in the old Kiddies building, Warrior Square. I was there for a year, and I started DJing about halfway through my time there. And that's not. I got involved with other people, and I sort of levitated into DJing. But I had to quit Mayhem because they wouldn't let me do the daytime work and not the nighttime. So I had to take the leap of faith, walk away from a full-time job, find. Do you like drum and bass? Some of it. I like the more vocal stuff. Same as garage, actually. I like the stuff with that's more vocal. I'm not keen on the heavy stuff, which is weird because back in the day, in the early 90s, I was very into jungle, which wasn't far removed from drum and bass. And my daughter, she's very into drum and bass, and she likes the old jungle as well. It's quite funny, my daughter. Actually, it's funny. When I saw her a little while ago, not the last time, but I was just chatting about music. And she said, "I'm going," because she goes to festivals and things, and she went to this one last year, and there were these guys called the Ragga Twins, which was there. And I'm like, "Are you bloody kidding me? The Ragga Twins are still going." I remembered them when I was 16, 17. Songs like Spliffhead and 18-inch Speaker and all this. And they were, as I say, I'm going back to the early 90s with these guys. And I said, "You've seen them and they're still going." Yes, they are, yeah. They're in their 60s now. It's crazy. But my daughter's like big fan of theirs. And it's just we're chatting. Like I said, I was listening to those guys when I was younger than you. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, as I say, the drum and bass I don't mind. I just like the more vocal stuff. I found I don't like the heavy too much. So I'm very much the house music scene is very much my stuff, and out of that, probably trance is my biggest, possibly my biggest love because of the way it takes you to a different level. You know, it gives you it gives you this kind of buzz that it's hard to describe. But as I say, I like that, and Tribal does the same sort of thing. Yeah, I can't believe they're still going. It's mad. And that was back in the early days of also the Prodigy was and massive fans. When Keith Flint took his own, when Keith Flint unalived himself, you know, that was a massive shock to everyone. But I remember, I think one of the earliest CDs I bought was the Prodigy Experience. You know, and I had that on CD, I had it on tape, you know, because you used to listen to it in my, you know, my first sort of couple of, yeah, amazing. I'll tell you what, out of all the albums they've done, I know everyone goes on about Fat of the Land, and rightly so, it's a great album. But I'd say my favourite one, actually, Invaders Must Die was brilliant as well, but my favourite one that they've done was Music for the Jilted. Jilted Generation. That is the best one they've done, in my opinion. It's fantastic. It really, like, you get into it and it really picks up halfway through. The album just gets you on a different level. It's but as I say, I remember playing. I had the Prodigy Experience in my first 2 or 3 cars, which were all Vauxhall Chevettes. And I remember it in the old cassette deck. You know, just playing it in the cassette deck and trying to blow the speakers up. And I nearly blew the speakers up in an Astra GTE 15 years later. I need to bring the car up as well. It's not the kind of music you listen to when you're in a car with a bit of power. But amazing guys. And the Prodigy sound was so unique. When Prodigy's music came on, you might not have known it, but you know that was the Prodigy style. I'm going to chuck out a bit more old school. There was a game on the Amiga called Xenon 2. No. That was Bomb the Bass. Yeah, it wasn't Prodigy, it was Bomb the Bass. But there's another guy, Tim Simonon, very much behind the scenes, but an amazing sampler music creator. And if you've not listened to Into the Bomb the Bass Into the Dragon, it's a bit of a mixture, but hello, Arundus. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, as I say, it's a bit of a different album, Glenn, but I thoroughly recommend Into the Dragon by Bomb the Bass. Fantastic album. Very, you know, early into that underground scene. You still listen to it now and it still sounds fresh. And I had that late 80s. Goldie. Yeah, I've only had I had little bits of Goldie, not a lot. I might have a look and see what else he's done, but I know he was drum and bass. Arundus, yes, I'm very well, my friend. Good to have you on board. If you've got any questions you want to chat about, anything at all, obviously, you know, I know I'm doing the Essex Boys content at the moment, but we will get back into the paranormal bits as well. Hopefully, might try and tie the two together again. And I do actually have a plan. I'm bouncing around here, but I've kind of got a plan once I've done everything that I can with the Essex Boys. It will kind of tie nicely to something I want to work on, which is people that unexplained, people that have been unalived, either through you know, someone that's unalived them, or the way that was unalive was unexplained, and they're all historical stuff, and it goes back to a book which I know I've shown before, and there you can see all the notes in the top. Yeah, I've got, as you can see, all the notes in there. I've got all that to work through. That should be really interesting. And the handy thing with this is that with the Essex Boys content, and I've done 3 other unaliveds. I've done Patricia Parsons, which was an amazing experience doing that. There was the unaliving that happened at what was the anti-aircraft battery in Southend in 45. I've done that one. And the other one was Terry Goodham and Maxine Arnold. But I had to pull the content from that because even though that happened back around 1990, Maxine's brother was still, very much alive, and it still affected him. And it was his daughter, Maxine's niece, that got into contact with me and asked if I could take the content down. So I had to do that. So with these more recent unalivings, and I say I'm going back to the mid-late, possibly even the mid-late 80s. So any time forward, there's people, there's plenty of people still around who are alive at the time, and it can negatively affect them. So I've got to be, I do have to tread carefully when it comes to dealing with the more modern unalivings. But the handy thing is, as I say, kind of got led on to one of the subscribers gave me this book, and it's been brilliant. The handy thing with this book is these are all historical events, stuff that's happened in the 19th century and the 20th century, and there would be no one around now that will have any links to anything that's happened in here. So I can work through that quite well. But I'm going to tie in the paranormal with the investigation, and they'll be all sort of short episodes. That's what I'm envisaging. But I'll keep you abreast of that. So once I've got through the next few Essex Boys content, then I can sort of move on to that. The other reason I've sort of gone in that kind of direction is, as a lot of you guys know, I'm doing, I've been tied up with Paranormal Essex, and I've been since last summer. So if I carried on doing the content that I'm doing with this channel, it's going to kind of clash with what we do as Paranormal Essex. So I'm trying to keep the paranormal theme, but go in a different direction. But we'll see how we goes there. I mean, don't get me wrong. Me and Rudy have done 2 house clearances, and I think I've got to upload one of them still. I've still got content on this PC from last year, which I will get up. But there was 2 house clearances we had. The one's already on the channel. The other one I've yet to sort out. So when things like that happen, and if the people that we deal with are happy for us to film it, then that kind of thing will go up as well. But the more generic paranormal stuff, the hauntings and all that, that's going to be more of a thing I'll be doing Paranormal Essex, which you could check out on here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I've got a TikTok account. It's the same as here. It's ParaQuest UK, and but yeah, that's where we are. Oh dear, I need out of juice. Any other questions or anything like that? Any guys? Just anything at all with the paranormal stuff? Oh, I'll tell you what has happened this year. I don't know where you guys sit on the UFO side. That's something else I've really wanted to get into. I've been fascinated with the UFO thing since I was a kid, bit like with the other paranormal stuff. But this year we've lost. Yeah, I want to try and get up to a place called Bempton, which is up near Scarborough. Having the transport issue that I had last year kind of precluded me from doing that, but I want to get away this year and go up to Bempton. Apparently that's a UFO and cryptid hotspot. I'd very much like to get up there. But yeah, this year the UFO community's had quite a turbulent time, because in January, one of my favourite authors, or I'd say he's the author that opened my eyes out a lot, not necessarily to the paranormal side, as that was a separate thing, but it opened my eyes to the possibility that humanity and how it developed and how it came to be on this planet isn't what we perceive, or in that it's not exactly along the Darwinian line. Well, it isn't. I mean, you know, Darwin's evolution of species is correct in ways, but you know, when we talk about the missing link in humanity, you'll never ever find it because of genetic manipulation. And there was a guy called Eric von Daniken, and he died in January at the age of 90, which was a shock because he always seemed well, you know. Even though he was at the age he was, he always seemed well, massively articulate. You could listen to him for hours and hours. He's such a fascinating guy. But he wrote in 1968, he wrote his first book, Chariots of the Gods. And that was the book I picked up when I was about 16. Yeah, around about 15, 16 I was, and I picked this book up. And I read it and I just went, oh my God, have we been sold a pup with our history? I mean, it might not be right, but it just seemed, when I read it, the stuff in there made a lot of sense into the human history and how we've been kind of genetically manipulated by other beings, or, you know, the Anunnaki, you know, basically. But there's been other species involved, but the Anunnaki's been a primary one. So, yeah, we lost Nick Pope in January. We lost Eric von Daniken in January. There's been a few others as well, but the two that mattered to me because I'd read their books was Eric, and then the next one was Nick Pope. He died last month. It was either last month or this month. It was very recent. And Nick Pope was only in his 60s, which was a massive shock. And he passed of cancer. But Nick Pope was kind of like the Essex. Nick Pope was, everyone called him UK's answer to Fox Mulder. You know, he released like what you kind of call as X-File UFO sightings, and he'd written books like Beyond Top Secret, and I think it was Above Top Secret, I think. But I'd read his books in the 90s as well, and all the reports that were in his books were from professional, what you call professional or expert witnesses. So the reports were coming from pilots, police, armed services, all those kind of people that were calm, level-headed types who literally recorded what they saw. You know, it wasn't a case of some hillbilly in South America who, you know, drunk too much moonshine and claimed he had something shoved up his backside. These were proper professional reports. And again, that was an eye-opening experience. And that was Nick, you know, and the last, 10, 15 years, the UFO thing has just exploded. It's really expanding now, and it's becoming more and more normalized. you know, for witness sightings and, you know, the professional film clips, you know, from we're talking film clips from aircraft. And whereas years ago, if you'd have had a sighting, you kept quiet about it, or it was recorded and hushed up, you did not talk about it, because if you was a pilot, you would have been, you know, you'd have been put out to grass. But these days it's very, very different. There is a guy that kind of picked up the baton from Eric von Daniken in that ancient astronaut thing. There's a chap called Paul Wallace, and what he talks about is, as I say, kind of a follow-on from all the work that Eric did. And Paul Wallace is brilliant. He follows it on. He was a pastor and a preacher, so he had to talk to people and explain the Bible and interpret the Bible for people. And he had this, you know, kind of had this moment. It was like, hang on, this isn't what we think it is. They're describing gods in the plural, not one, you know, omnipotent consciousness. These are talking about gods, not a god, like the Old Testament stuff. And then he'd look at all which is basically what Eric did. Would look at the ancient writings from, you know, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, the early civilizations from all over the world, but they'd all describe similar events, you know, like flood and visitors and things, you know, and you're going back to the drawings in the caves of what looks like astronauts, and all this sort of thing. And it was just mind blowing. But as I say, Paul's the guy that has carried on that work. And going down the slightly conspiratorial route, and this is kind of my opinion, but Trump has been talking about recently releasing UFO files on UFOs. I don't know how far we'll get with that, or whether it'll happen. I suspect it may well happen, because Trump's a one-term president, so he can kind of do what he likes right now, because, you know, he can't stand for re-election, which I think is a lot of the reason why he's gone into Iran, because it's like a board and he's dealing with. It's ugly, but Iran needs sorting out. As uncomfortable as it is, that's my opinion. You know, everyone's different. But Trump's talking about releasing the UFO stuff, and it could well happen. It'd be good if it did, because it would be out there for everyone to see. We can make our own judgments. We're at that point now where we're not going to run away from the fact that we're not alone. But I'm sure it's this year that there's a film that's called Disclosure, and I think it's a Steven Spielberg production. So it would be odd that Trump said, I'm going to release the UFO files, and then the film Disclosure comes out. Disclosure has been spoken about for years and years, and if you look up a guy called Dr. Stephen Greer, he's been at the forefront of Disclosure. So it would seem odd that that's going to get thrown, you know, this is all going to get thrown out there. Whether it's in readiness for a fake alien invasion, that's something that's been bandied about. I don't know. It's a thought. You know, a lot of the stuff that's been going doesn't happen by accident. But it would just seem weird that, you know, we've lost all these UFO guys. Trump's now saying he's going to release UFO files, and we've got a film called Disclosure coming out. So are they going to try and fake an alien attack or something? You know, there's been whispers about that. So you make your own minds up on it. Me, I'm not sure, but if that happened, it would be very convenient, and it would take everyone's eyes off the ball from everything else that's happening in the world. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Project Bluebeam, absolutely, of course. Project Bluebeam, one of many things. You know, the holograms. I mean, it can't be no coincidence at the moment that I'm watching I'm binging X-Files again, which I've not seen for donkey's years, but it's on Amazon Prime. In fact, when I finish the stream, I'm probably going to watch a couple of episodes. And do you know what? There was something interesting that came up in the X-Files. I think I'm on season 4 at the minute, and there was one episode where Mulder mentions about cow farts affecting the ozone. And I'm like, hang on, who is it? Would it that? Oh God, Bill Gates, that lovely man, talking about cow farts affecting climate change. So you were spinning the same lie. This is the same lie from 30 years ago. Only then it's affecting the ozone. This time it's affecting climate change. You're spinning the same thing. So maybe there was the X-Files was actually trying to tell us, because that's something that Hollywood does. It tells us what they're doing. I can give another example, something for you guys to watch out for. How I got here from the Essex Boys, I don't know, but I'm going to throw it out there why it's in my head. The number 33, which I understand to be Masonic. You will see the number 33 come up quite often in films, in TV, even in newsreels. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a newsreel example. I think it was the Southport, when the Southport stuff was kicking off back in 24. And there was this video clip of some random pensioner. She said she was in her late 60s, but I said she weren't much older than me if she was. She just happened to be this random passerby going through this area where the sacred rites kicking off, and she came, I'm an innocent 6-year-old pensioner sort of thing, and I'm getting arrested for doing nothing. And of course that immediately sets your sympathy off, because there's an innocent pensioner being arrested for doing nothing, and of course it makes you angry because that's happening. But the video clip of where she's being arrested, and it's like that, got the coppers all around her, but the door behind her has got the number 33 above her. That's there's an interesting thing there. There's been times where there's been cameras put on police in riot gear that they've had sort of 33 on the side or something. There's been another. I can give you a couple of other examples. In Superman. Oh, I think it was Superman 3, Superman 4. Might have been 4. I think it was 4. There's a scene at the Daily Planet in the office where they're doing this monthly bingo ball draw thing. And if it's your number, you win a prize, a weekend away somewhere. And the chief is pulling out these balls. Excuse me. And guess what the number of one of them is? 33. That so it's just come up again. I was watching, and it's on YouTube actually, a film called The Monster Club, which is an Irish horror flick, and it's several short stories. It's quite enjoyable. The last one's very disturbing. It's worth it just for that. But the first short story in that is a brother goes to his father just died, and he got a sister, and the dad had left everything to the sister. So the brother's quite pissed about it. So he's gone to find his sister who lives in this town, which is apparently which, as it transpires, is a town full of vampires. When he goes to knock on his sister's door, guess what the door number is? 33. So they're trying to tell us that there's a Masonic thing and vampires. I don't know, but I'm just saying that number crops up so many times. So you got to, you got to keep your eye out for these things. But yeah, anyway, did I get there from Essex Boys? Don't know, but yeah, there's a lot going on, and they try and tell us all the time, what's going on behind the scenes, and and you've got certain whistleblowers out there within the Hollywood, like Jim Carrey. I think Robin Williams was a bit of truth. What's his face? The Aussie. I can't think his name now. But yeah, there's a few who try and sort of put stuff out there, and try and tell you what's going on. But yeah, it's a funny thing, as I say, that number crops up all the time. But yeah, anyway, going back to actually spotting UFOs, I want to go to Benton. I want to try and do that this year. I wanted to do it, I think, last couple of years, and it didn't quite happen. But I think we'll try and get up there. And there's a couple of old OEF bases as well to explore. So I don't know whether I'll take the bike or drive. I don't know yet. That's a lot of the reason why I've got the Honda, is to do a bit of travelling. So yeah, and obviously Rendlesham Forest. That was like the British Roswell. And it was interesting to know that I was at it's weird. Essex Ghost Hunters. They have a shop over Bickenacre near Southwood and Ferrers. It's called Little Elm, I think, Garden Centre or something like that. But their shop's called Cirrus. And I popped in there a little while ago just to see if they got any new any new gadgets or any cards. I mean, this pack of Oracle cards, I bought that in there not the last one, was in the time before. And I was talking to the guys in or the guy that was there on the day, and he was talking about Rendlesham Forest. And with Rendlesham, he said there's kind of you can still the radioactive, the radiation levels are still higher than the background of where this UFO was alleged to have been seen. And he said not only that, he said there's no birds, you can't hear any birds chattering, and there's some kind of block. Anyone with psychic abilities, there's some kind of block that stops them seeing stuff. It's just really weird stuff. Not knowing, obviously we've known about the Rendlesham Forest incident, but these are things I didn't know about. How on earth there's a block there? Don't know, but it'd be nice to go and explore that. And see if we can find anything. But yeah, that's something I've wanted to delve into for ages, UFO stuff. I think I might have seen one or two odd things in the sky over the past 18 months. One of them might have been shooting star, I don't know. But before I moved to my current moorings, I was out on the moorings at Essex Marina, which is on Wallasey Island. It's a beautiful part of Essex. It's so... Burnham on Crouch is the other side of the river, so any noise you hear will be from Burnham on Crouch. But there it is, one of the most peaceful, quiet places I've ever been. And the other plus point was you was always on water as well, which was nice for when you were sleeping as well. I mean, it's nice here, but that was just the best. you obviously you're in your bed or in my bed, you know, in my fore cabin there. But because the boat's always on water, you get that nice sensation of, you know, the boat moving around and stuff. It's quite quality. But I'd sit out on deck every now and then and just look up and just watch the sky. You know, you'd see one or two things go past and you think, what's that? So, but never got a camera ready. God, I am chatting away today. Stuff I never thought I'd be going on about. So, yeah, there we go. I mean, heading back, just kind of circling back a little bit with the Essex Boys stuff. Obviously, I've had the content drop yesterday. The next bit I'm looking at, or the next bit that I'm working on, is a timeline post 7 o'clock when they were officially unalived. So I'm looking at all the witness statements and I'm putting them into a timeline, and I'm going to do a similar sort of thing as what I did with the content from last night and that it should be quite easy because most of it will be based around main road or what was the A130. So a lot of it will be based around on that road or any turnings that's offering Cullen Workhouse Lane. So that should be quite easy to work with. That's the bit I'm working on at the minute, and then going past that, I need to talk to. I've got one piece, but ideally I need to talk to Tim, chaps at TMI, regarding there was sightings of Tucker Tate and Rolfe after 7 o'clock. So I want to get the statements of them and again put them into a timeline and visit the sites where they were seen. And then post that with Darren Nichols and hopefully another psychic visit. Hello, Matt. Yeah, we chat. I think it was. That's a line I've always gone down. I haven't seen Crime Scene's latest content. I'm going to catch up on their channel and see any new stuff because I've been out of the loop with the Essex Boys stuff. There's been, things that have come up since and come to light, but I've seen the picture of Mickey. He looks in quite good health, but you don't know, under the under the line whether there's anything wrong with him. But it's nice to see he's out and enjoy whatever time he's got left as a free man. It's just a shame that he can't talk about anything. Although whether he just wants to be left to see his time out, or whether he's going to write his memoirs, or 80, yeah. These days 80. My dad turned 80 a few weeks ago, and he's still, he's not without health issues, but he's still very active. He's got, always, my dad's always had his marbles, but he's still got his marbles. He goes out and plays his golf, keeps active, and that's the best thing you can do. So, maybe Mickey would have a good few years left in him. We hope so, but it'd be nice if he can maybe record his memories and what happened. That would be dynamite. But he may not be able to have that released until he passes. We don't know what the deal is with the NDA. And technically, both Mickey and Jack are technically they're still guilty of murder. Probably dummy algorithms the world of God now. They're still guilty. Technically, they're still guilty of their crimes. They've just been released because they're deemed to be no longer a threat to the public at large. They never were to start with. We know that, apart from the misdemeanors they were up to. But that's basically the reason why they're released. They're either reformed or no longer seen as a threat. When it's mad when you think of all the sods that are out there at the moment that causing all manner of crap that Mickey and Jack would never dream of doing. But yeah, I'd say the next thing. Yeah, it's looks that way. Is he again, so I've been a little bit out of the loop on it, but did he go back with Jackie? Has he gone back with Jackie? In other words, it'd be nice to think he has. We can only hope that now that maybe their names can the charges that were brought upon them. Yeah, I hope so. I don't think he's sort of gone back home and he's living on his own sort of thing. I really hope he's got someone with him. But hopefully they can get the charges rescinded with all the work that's been going on in particularly in the last few years. That everyone was, I don't know if anything I've done's helped. Obviously, TMI are the main guys because they're classed as expert witnesses. But it'd be nice to think that everything that we've compiled over all platforms can show that that the testimony given by Nichols was wrong, and that the other stuff, if we're going to go down the route of Billy Jasper, that the statement and everything that he gave checked out, or at least the stuff that I followed from Billy Jasper checked out. He was able to describe his route down Rectory Lane. How does a guy from Canning Town know backwater roads in Southwood and Ferrers? To the amount of time Mr. D had gone, to go over the field. I proved all that was, his statement held, Billy Jasper's statement held water, so to speak. But it's in the lap of the gods, really. And actually, it's funny because I just compiling the next compiling the information for the next video I'm going to do. One of the witness statements was from, I didn't know his name. All I can remember is from the statement was he described a fusillade shots going off about midnight. Well, the guy that wrote that statement was a local resident called Steve Rogers, I think. I mean, he might have passed on now. I don't know how old he was at the time, but he'd gone out to attend his horses, and he heard a fusillade of gunshots going off. And when he'd gone back into his house and looked at the time of the clock, it was about half past midnight. But where his farm was in location to where Workhouse Lane was, he described what direction he'd heard the shots going off, and it was in the direction of Workhouse Lane. And as I say, we're talking about a fusillade of gunshots. There's a couple of other statements that describe gunshots going off around 7. Now there's two. As I say, the statements I'm looking at the moment. Now there's a couple of interesting things around that. Where he got it. Yeah. I think there was 2 statements saying that gunshots had gone off shortly after 7 o'clock or around 7 o'clock, but it was only 3 shots. And as we know, there was 8 shots fired. You know, that's no secret. So was that just someone gone out lamping? And the other thing was there was another guy who'd gone out for a walk around 7 o'clock, who'd gone past Workhouse Lane, and he heard nothing. So what do you take from that? But the best, as I say, I'm going to have a chat with from TM and catch up with what crime scene's been putting out, because whilst I've been out of the loop, obviously the other channels that have still been working on it said there might be new stuff that's gone out. But certainly, you know, the to me still the Billy Jasper thing checks out, because of, you know, following his witness statement, accurately describing the different landmarks around that area, the time of which Mr. D had gone and come back, checked out, because I've done the footwork on that, and the approximate time of when that happened is corroborated by a resident who heard shots going off around the time that Jasper said he dropped this guy off. So to me, unless I see anything else, that's about the best we go on, which counteracts the stuff that Nichols put out. But yeah, as I say, hopefully I'll catch up and find, because as I say, the main thing for me, the TMI guys should have all the details of the other sightings of Tucker Tate and Rolf post 7 o'clock. I know of 3. I've got the statement of 1 to hand, which is, you know, that's been out there for some time. I just need to get the other, get the details of the other 2, and then put them into a timeline of sightings. And then again, I'll do the same thing. I'll visit each place in turn, so you can get visualization of where these guys were seen. I mean, the Carpenter's Arms is the probably the most well known one, which is out there, that described a guy called Craig Rolfe, a guy that fitted the description of Craig Rolfe going into the Carpenter's Arms pubs. The Carpenter's Arms is still there, and I think the other 2 pubs, the All-Sick Cock, which I think is still there. I have not been to the All-Sick Cock since 1999. Rings a bell, when I was into my minis. And in 99, it was the 40th birthday of the mini, and there was some big events going on. So, but I know that it was the Essex Mini Club, I think. I used to meet up with the All-Sick Cock, so that's my last memory of the All-Sick Cock. But that was back in 1999, so I'd need to go up there and see if that's still there. Now, the other one that was mentioned was the Fortune of War. Now, that pub's been gone for about 25 years. The guy that owned the land, it was worth a lot of money. He just sold up, and it's all flats there now. But there should be pictures of the All-Sick Cock, the Fortune War available. But I'll include all that content in anyway, so you get a good idea on the different sites. But those are the 3 that I know of. Now, I didn't interest in, when we did the last paranormal investigation down the lane, bearing in mind that was me, Karen, Gloria, Rudy, and Paul, when we went down there. That last visit, obviously, Rudy and Gloria, you guys all know, are the mediums that I've worked with regularly. And Pat came through to Gloria, and Gloria described him to a T. Described Pat. I mean, Gloria didn't have much of an interest in the Essex Boys shooting at the time. Neither did I, as I said on the night. It was like, oh, bloody hell, that's happened. Oh, well, move on. You know, I was up in Glasgow at the time. I was doing I had my concentration on different things, like getting drunk. But that's another story. when in Glasgow you go. And some of the questions I was asking were, did you go to other places after 7 o'clock? And I did get it wasn't. Pat was very, how can you put it? It's hard to put for a spirit, but Pat was being tight-lipped. You did 5 years. Yeah. I mean, the first one we did was just blew everyone away, including us. And it's funny to think that 5 years later on, I'm part of I'm now part of Paranormal Essex, which has been sort of revised and rebranded slightly. I could tell you now, as Paranormal Essex, we won't go down there. But me as ParaQuest UK, I will do. Well, that's the plan. I'd like to finish off the Essex Boys with a last visit. One or two people mentioned about going down there with taking some different mediums and see what responses you get. I've got one or two people in mind, but obviously they'd have to agree to it. Otherwise, I'm going to need to be asking around for anyone that would like to be involved. Having said that, I'm doing a. Yeah, the dowsing rods. I love my dowsing rods. The only hard bit about it, because I was doing it on the night of the anniversary. It was very cold, and I can remember I'm sitting out and I'm trying to keep my hands steady as I can, and they're like that. It was so hard, but I can go back there during the warmer night and finish off. We should still get responses come through again, but there'll be ways and means. The thoughts just occurred to me that actually I can announce it now, because next month will be May, and I will do another vlog just to cover it. Shaking because of the camera. No, I was freezing my nuts off. It weren't warm at all. But then it was the 6th of December, so it was cold, and it was so hard just to try and keep them accurate. But I mean, I can use them again for a final visit. But as I say, what I need to do is sort out two different mediums. Obviously, I've been down with Rudy and Gloria. Yeah, I mean, if you watched our first live, I can't. Was it Ryan? No, it weren't Ryan. One of the Paranormal Essex boys had their hood like that. I was like looking at Kenny from South Park. It was hilarious. And the return was no different. That was still cold as fuck. So I'll do it again, and it'll be much warmer. So we can be a lot more comfortable in what we do. But just what I was going to say. May the 30th. I'll do another vlog just to remind people. But if you want to do a meet and greet with myself, possibly, I'm quite sure Adam and maybe one or two other guys from Paranormal Essex will come down. We're going to have a psychic. We do a psychic fair. He does, yeah. I'm certainly not going to comment on a public platform about Bernard. And if you look at the other channels that have covered the Essex Boy murders, you'll probably know why. But I won't talk about Bernard or anything that he's done. Let's just put it that way. But we've got on the 30th of May at the Balmoral Centre in Westcliff. We've got a psychic fair, which we do twice a year. I have a table there for me paranormal stuff where people come and talk about their experiences and anything they want us to check out. And it's a meet and greet. You can come and meet me in person. And hopefully I'll drag out one or two of the boys from Paranormal Essex again, because we did that at the last one and that was really good. It was just me and Adam chatting, because I'll MC the whole afternoon as well. We introduce all the people that's there. There's people doing card readings and all sorts, but I think that might be a good opportunity to network and see any of the mediums that are there. If they would like, if they'd like to stick a foot into the world of the Essex Boys and come along. Enochwell lights. I like the boots on ground stuff best. Yeah, at the end of the day, to me that's the best way of doing it. Go and physically look at these things yourself, rather than rely on what other people have said. And as I say, that was the best way of finding out if Billy Jasper was talking. If what he said checked out or if it didn't. I can't talk for the rest of the stuff. Where he's met up with Jesse Gow and whatever he did in Canning Town. Those bits didn't bother me. I was interested, as I have been with this case, is everything directly connected with that night. People that were there and the events that were directly connected to the whole thing, rather than, Dave Smith down in, Putney, who might have called the shootings, and he was connected with Dave Courtney, and Dave Courtney was connected with Billy Blunt. All that outside crap I'm not interested in. That's for other people to deal with. All I want to know is just exactly who was there on that day, on that night, what happened. That's it. I'm not bothered about who was connected with it. Because on those grounds, you keep it as close as you can to those grounds, and hopefully you can unearth something which might trigger a thing which would help the case of Mick and Jack for proving their innocence. That's kind of the way I look at it anyway. But exactly. Well, they can. That's the funny thing. If you've energy from traumatic events or energy from big events, that is called stone tape theory, where the local environment will kind of take a recording of what's happened there. And often that's what's happened when we've gone to other places, in that there's been like a print. We've heard of stories like the Romans marching down the road, but you can only see them from the knee upwards, because the road that they were walking on was lower down than what the current road is. That's like a recording in time. It'd be nice if you could tap into that more easily, but that's why we've got mediums. And I was saying, what stuff Gloria got was brilliant. And when we did the Estes on the first night with Rob, the responses, that was mad. The responses we got from that night were crazy. And then the second one, interestingly, I think the second time, I think it was Tony. I got the sense that it was Tony that was coming through. But when we did the first time we went down there, and I had that spirit radio that I was trying to suss out, and when I went back over, when I had it playing, and when I went back over the video recording, you could hear an EVP, and it said, "It's Tony." So we actually got an EVP of Tony on the first time we went down there. That was really, that really sort of. What's your favourite pack of crisps? Oh, I'm very not crisps as such, but I'm very partial to Jacobs. So that Jacobs products, which is the mini cheddars. My favourite one is the chili one, red hot chili or something. It's called. They're lovely, and the red Leicesters. And the I do crinklies as well in similar flavours. I know. Just once I get started, yeah, I love it. And also, they do Jacobs do these boxes. I think they're called slices or thins or something like that, and they've got different flavours. And there's the cheese and caramelised onion. I think is they're really nice as well. And there's a smoky one. But I love Jacobs products. Yeah, they do. They're so Moorish. Favourite sandwich. Oh, I like a New York deli. New York delis I quite like. Also, just ham and cheese, BLT. I'd like quite a few, but I'd say that we've got an Elliot's van that comes round, and I'm always happy when they turn up with a New York deli. Those are the ones I tend to like. Probably bacon, yeah. Yeah, you can never beat a bacon sandwich. Motorbikes and music. Well, motorbikes are my first love, so crisps, not sandwich, bacon. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely say motorbikes to that one. Purely because of the bane of my existence, but I love them anyway. Crisps, not sandwich, bacon. Gotcha. Yeah, I've got that. I'll tell you what I used to love as well. Do you remember the old Frazzles? You've had about 10. I wish I could say I've only had 10. I mean, if I was to include the 125s I've had my full bike license since 2010. But if you used to include the one moped that I had, or the 50cc moped, that I had the MZ, I had the Honda Twin. Yeah, great stuff. Every day. I tend to have the Jacobs, as I say, they're just my favourite product. If they could sponsor me, that'd be great. I'd happily promote their products. But I'm just trying to think now. So I have my MZ, that was my 50, and I have my Honda Twin. Yeah, the steak. Yeah, I quite like the steak, the McCoys. And I'll tell you what has come up recently, the most missed. Yeah, actually, if you're going to go down the roll route, I'll tell you what two of my favourite ones are, because I go Brick Lane, London regular. I say that I take people to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, and when they're in there, I nip over to Brick Lane and grab a bagel. I love a salt beef with gherkin and mustard, or the salmon and cream cheese with black pepper and lemon. Just wonderful. Hang on, just think the bikes: MZ, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha. So that's 5 there. I then went Honda again, Suzuki, Honda, Triumph. So that's 10 there already. I'd say I've had about 20 bikes if you include the 125s. But having said that, although I've had quite a few bikes, the current three, I've had my Honda 4 years, but I've got no intention of selling it. I've had my Triumph 12 years, no, 13 years. And the FZR, that'll be coming up a year. Yeah. Do you know what? The one I've never had has been Kawasaki's. The one, well, technically, I did have a Kawasaki. It was an old Z250, but it was in bits, and I never got it. And I never got that project off the ground. But then, I had access to an AR125, so technically that wasn't mine. It was borrowed, but my mate had enough of biking, and I borrowed it on the premise that I sorted a couple of bits out on it and going for my test. But I failed my test quite miserably, and then he had to sell it. So that was that. I had a massive break and then come back to biking about 20 years ago, and then got my full license 2010. But I'd say, yeah, I'll probably have, on balance, I've had more Hondas and everything, and that includes the big bikes as well, because I've had my first big bike was a Honda NX650 Dominator. I went everywhere on that. I had a Honda Firestorm, the VTR 1000V twin. That was brilliant. Yeah, one of the lads, there was a lad I used to knock about with when I was a kid, had a Honda Vision. I rode it, scared the shit out of me. Just someone, for me, used to bikes with big wheels to come down with something like wheels that size. I'm like, I'll stop this. I'll quickly get off it again. Yeah, I've had Honda. Yeah, the NX, VTR, CBR, or the CBR6. Now my Africa Twin, so 4 or 5 Hondas, or big Hondas. And oh no, hang on, I had 2 NXs. Sorry, yeah, I had 2 NXs. Yeah, the CBR, the VTR. Yeah, so it's 5 big Hondas. Hopefully, that Honda that's out there, my Africa Twin, that will be my last one. Unless I get a Fireblade or something, I don't know. Better than those to hold. Yeah, we've all done some stupid shit in our times. Yeah. Yeah, I remember towing my mate home when he bought my 50 off of me, and I'd gone up to my 125, and it wasn't running. So I only had to tow him from Golden Cross in Rochford up to Anne Boleyn. But pulling into his drive, and he fell over right in front of this copper. Oh, I thought we was done for, but he just like looked at us and walked on. Oh, those are days you get away with so much. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I mean, fastest you've been is 140. I think I saw 160 on the clock of my VTR. That was interesting. I've legally maxed out my Thunderbird. Went over to Germany back in 2014. Did a road trip with a couple of my mates, and I legally maxed out my Thunderbird at 125, which was good because that's what they're quoted as top speed, but only have 5-speed gearboxes. So, yeah, you know, and the thing is, especially on a naked bike, you know you're doing it. I mean, the VTI had a fairing, so I was all right, but yeah, the Thunderbird's obviously naked. So when you're riding 125 miles an hour, you know you're doing it. With my Africa Twin, I've got a screen like a barn door on that. So all I'm saying, it's you have to keep a good eye on the speed, because you can very easily go a lot faster than what you think you're doing. But, yeah, we're doing at the time, right? Okay, we're coming up 150, so I'll give it another 10 minutes. Anyone wants to ask anything, far away. I need a haircut. Haircut. Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm going to give it another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to end the stream, because I want to watch some more X-Files. And I've got a pack of penguins in the. I was talking about the penguin chocolate bar with someone on the weekend, and I hadn't seen them for ages, and I was in. Where was I? Where did I go shop? I think I went shopping Tesco's or something. And oh no, I was in Lidl's. That is it. Yeah, I was in. Yeah, I was talking about penguin chocolate bars with someone on the weekend, and I'm like, I haven't seen them for ages. And I was in Lidl's Sunday getting a little bit of shopping, and I'd see a pack of penguins. I'm like, I'm gonna have them. I need a haircut. Yeah, me too. I mean, look at that. It's so. Yeah, that's why I'm wearing out tonight. I'm actually not chocolate flavoured even. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Where we Barry Sheen at? Yeah, just walk and have some of him. But anyway. Yeah, any other questions? Anything anyone else wants to fire at me? I've gone over. Started on Essex Boys, went on to UFOs. Now I'm talking about chocolate biscuits. I might watch a film. Keep. Look forward to next Essex stuff. When is it? Yeah, good question. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather this weekend. I would like to try and get it. I would like to try and get the Essex Boys stuff recorded, possibly Sunday. I've got to keep an eye on the weather though, because I know it's looking a little bit changeable. But if I can get it recorded Sunday, if I push the boat, I can maybe get it ready for the following week. But as I said, with this computer, it's a bit old and decrepit. Yeah, I enjoyed it tonight, Glenn. Yeah, I never ever. I mean, yeah, I'm going to try and get it done for. Yeah, it just depends how quickly I record. It shouldn't. I mean, this one shouldn't take too long, as I said, to record, because it's all in pretty much one area, which is the. I think that there's one statement that I think's in Hockley, or that they were. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to do that audio on the fly a bit, because of the circumstances and the way I recorded that, because I sort of drove down the road and thought, well, hang on, I've got to drop this statement on top of it. I mean, I suppose I could have recorded it back home. I think in my mind at that moment, I was trying to make it sound kind of authentic, like I was, that I was actually talking the statement through whilst I was driving, but I managed to do it in a way that wasn't, was safe. So that meant once I'd done the video recording of me driving down the 127, it was then a case of pulling over. And I think I did it when I got back home when I got back onto Canvey. And I thought, well, I'm just going to pull over in a quiet spot and talk the statement through, and then I can overlay that audio that I've recorded onto the thing. But yeah, I didn't have I didn't think about that actually. I could have plugged because I I used the GoPros and you could plug mics in. I didn't really think about it actually because I've done um, recordings from the car before. Yeah, thinking about it now, I could have done it in a bit of a different way. Um, yeah, I could have done it in a different way thinking about it now, but a bit late now. I mean, hopefully you got the gist of what I was saying. It was just my thought at the time was like, oh, make sure it records. Enjoy penguins. I'm gonna, yeah. Um, I'm only gonna have one. I'm gonna try and get rid of this before the wedding in September. Um, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully that was a one-off anyway. The way what I did there because of where it was in the situation. So it was the one time I didn't think to use a mic because the audio on GoPros is generally quite good. But yeah, um, I do a future recording in the car. Then I'll wear an external mic. It's easily done. And anyway, as I say, the next two recordings I do will be site locations anyway. So pick up a penguin. Oh yes, yeah. I've got a great joke on the. I'll get everyone with. So I'll leave this one. You need to try. Yeah, I remember them. Oh, sorry, Mint Arctic Bars and Needles. Yeah, I did see them, but I was fixated on penguins. But the next time I go shopping, I'll grab some. But funny enough, um, just going on the chocolate bar thing. Um, every now and then on Twitter, you get the trips down Amnesia Lane, and people's like, "Oh, do you remember this?" And like the trios and the club bars, I think they were. I used to love the club bars. The mint, I think it was mint and the orange ones. After eights, yeah, yeah, they're good and all. But yeah, man, I used to love the club bars. And I think they did a raisin one as well, which weren't bad. But my favourites was the mint and the orange one. They were good. But yeah, I'm gonna before I sign off, I'm gonna give you a penguin joke. Um, why don't polar bears eat penguins? Because they can't get the wrappers off. There was, yeah, purple, raisin, and biscuit. That was it. Yeah, they were nice as well. Yeah, I'll have to have a look and see if you can still get them. Yeah, likewise, Matt. Been great to hear from you again. Hope you enjoy life in Cornwall. That's definitely. Uh, I think. Do you know what? After I think I've got about one or two more visits up the east coast. Well, around the Yorkshire area. I've got one or two visits left in me up that way. So I'm thinking of Breakaway. Oh my God, do you remember them? I think after I've had me for the visits on the east coast, I want to go west because I know there's so much paranormal activity around the west sort of around the Cornish areas, and Wales and all that. So that'll be something to do in the future. And particularly as a boating type person, all the smuggling activity that went on down there and all the rest would be great. So anyway, yeah, we're approaching 2 hours. Now I'm going to go and have a cuppa and go to bed and watch X-Files. So it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to every one of you tonight. Yeah, those that you're going to watch this on repeat. Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Matt. Been great tonight. Yeah, as I say, if you want to email me, and I can drop the directs contact or something. But yeah, and as I said, May the 30th. Yeah, definitely watch out for number 33. You'll be looking out for them now when you're watching TV and films. It's just something to come up, but if you know what you're looking for, you'll see it. But yeah, once again, anyone wants to come and visit, May the 30th, the Balmoral Community Centre in Westcliff. We're having a psychic fair. I'll be there. Hopefully, Boys and Paranormal Essex as well. You come down and chat with us and have a laugh. And yeah, going to leave it there. Thanks very much, everybody. Love and light. God bless all of you. I mean that sincerely. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye, everybody.